For the first time since 1989, there's a new era of Ohio University baseball. There's a new head coach in Athens, and we visit with him now. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Eisenstein, the voice of the Ohio Bobcats. Rob Smith joins us. Welcome to Athens. How's the transition been for you?
Well, it's been great. Me and my family are settled in now, and we're almost 3 weeks into practice, and things are rolling quite well.
Now, what was it about this program? What was it about Ohio baseball that made you say, you know what, I want to be the head coach here?
Well, I think as you look around, there's a lot of potential. There's a great facility in place. There's obviously a nice tradition in place. So it's one of those jobs I feel fortunate enough as my first head job that, it's not a rebuilding scenario. There's not certain pieces that are missing. And when you add in the fact that we'll have the indoor situation taken care of next year, that there's really nothing that's not here that I think we need to be successful.
Yeah, you come from a great college program, Creighton University. You worked for Ed Service, the head coach there. 6 years and 3 NCAA tournaments and 3 Missouri Valley Conference titles. Can you roll the experience that you had there, working for Ed, into this situation here at Ohio?
Yeah, I think obviously my experience at Creighton, when you're trying to be successful, I think you have to have a little bit of a blueprint for that, and part of that comes through your experiences. And my time there at Creighton, definitely showed us a lot of things in terms of how to be successful with a club and things when it comes to practice and the day-to-day activities of a team. So there's a lot I'll be able to take away from that experience that'll help us be successful here.
Let's talk about the facets of the ball game and your ideas on them. First off, offensively, what is this team going to look like? What's your plan of attack?
Well, I think part of that always comes down to your personnel. Will dictate some of that. But, once we get things going, I hope to see us have an aggressive style offensively, that we're going to have a lot of guys active on the bases. We're try to put a lot of pressure on the defense and force the other team to make a lot of mistakes. Over time, we're going to continue to accumulate those speed-type players, but once we get it in place, that's what I'm hoping to see.
Yeah, defensively, that's always been important to Bobcat baseball here, and it's important to any program anywhere. Your thoughts on your defensive side and what you plan on doing there?
Yeah, well, we're going to base a lot of what we do on pitching and defense. That's going to be a big staple for what we do. We've already made great improvements already this fall on the defensive side of the ball, so I'm a big believer that, the team that makes the least mistakes will tend to win the game, and that starts with your pitching and your defense, and if you can minimize those mistakes, and then offensively you put pressure on your opponent to make mistakes, you're going to come out on the good end of that more times than not.
Pitching-wise, we've seen some good pitchers here over the last couple of years at Ohio, and hopefully that continues. How do you manage your pitching staff? What are your thoughts on starting pitchers, middle relief, and in the bullpen?
Well, for me, the pitching staff starts on the back end. I want to build a good, solid bullpen. I think if you're going to play a style that relies on pitching and defense, you're going to be in a lot of close games. Because of that, I think you got to be good late. And so you start your bullpen with some of your better pitchers, and then you move back from there. So you're going to see us as we continue to recruit to the program. We're going to look to take some of the better pitchers we get our hands on and try to build that bullpen on the back end. So when we get in those 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, that we're going to be stronger, hopefully, than the other teams.
Yeah, and there's so much to recruit to here. We talk about this in every sport, but this most certainly is the best ballpark in the Mid-American Conference, and it's one of the better ones around the Midwest. That plus the university, that plus previous success that this program has had, and you and your coaching staff, there's so much to recruit to here.
Yeah, there really is, and that's one of the things I told people when I took the job, that I'd never been to Athens before I came here to visit with Jim. And I was unbelievably surprised. It just kind of snuck up on me. I didn't realize what really was in place here. I had no idea about the facilities and the commitment that they were making to baseball. And as I learned more about the program and its tradition, there's no reasons why we can't be successful here.
Yeah, when you take a look at mission statements and long-term goals, where do you want to plot the course for Bobcat baseball? What's in your mind as far as this is what we have to do and this is how we want to go about doing it?
Well, right now our biggest concern is just establishing a culture and establishing an identity for what we want to do. And the guys have done a tremendous job the first 3 weeks. Really establishing the effort that we want to give, the style we want to play, the high energy approach that we're going to have. And for me, that was the first thing that we wanted to get accomplished. And I think once we get that in place, we'll start to look towards some other types of goals or things. But right now, for me, it's just learning how to practice and getting these guys to go about their business a certain way every day.
Yeah, the schedule is not finalized yet, but what are your thoughts on non-conference approach? There are some programs, as you know, that will go and play SEC weekends through tournament play and all the rest of that sort of stuff. Or there are some programs that might try to take non-conference off a little bit and just approach it towards MAC play. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's got to be a balance, obviously. I think you want to challenge your club when you can. For us, obviously we're going to be on the road the first couple weeks of the season for sure, but I hope that we can attract some good opponents. I know this year we added, one of the first things they did, we added Kentucky to our schedule, which will be a nice SEC midweek game. And we'll continue to play those types of teams as we go. But I think, we just got to take and look at a balance and see what we have as far as road games in the league and home games and who they're against, and then obviously what we're doing preseason before we get into conference play. But you'll see a lot of the same similar teams that will play midweek, which are teams like Dayton and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and Xavier and the clubs that are nearby for midweek stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for Kentucky to see a Mid-American Conference team again, because last year Kent State, en route to the College World Series, knocked them off in the Gary Regional. We take a look back here, and the outfield wall will be finished after the storm damage that rolled through the summer. But you're really in a position where you could curtail some of the dimensions if you would like. Are you going to play with those numbers a little bit?
Well, we haven't quite gotten into that yet, but certainly being a guy that's worked with pitchers for the last 13 years and trying to establish a system based on pitching and defense, I've heard the wind blows a little bit here out, so
here.
I wouldn't be opposed if they want to set those fences back a few more feet. I wouldn't stop them from doing that.
I enjoyed the visit. Good luck.
Thanks a lot, Russ. Appreciate it.
And that's Rob Smith, the head coach of Ohio baseball. He came from the Blue Jay program to be the head coach of the Bobcat program. We remind you, too, you can follow Bobcat baseball right here on OhioBobcats.com. And then once the season starts, all MAC games plus select non-conference games will be on WOUB AM and right here on OhioBobcats.com. For the coach, I'm Russ Eisenstein. This is Bobcat TV.